Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Our patient today is a patient from yesterday, and 50-inch Samsung TV. The model is in the title. Now we have removed the motherboard. We checked the power supply. Power supply seems to be okay, no shorts, no bad caps. Everything seems to be fine. So my next step was to replace the Bluetooth module. Because Bluetooth module you can get it new for less than 10 bucks. The board, on the other hand, is closer to about 60 bucks. Still makes it super viable to repair, even if you just have to replace the entire motherboard, as long as the display is working, obviously. And now, after removing it and doing some measurements, I discovered something. Now let's put the meter in the resistance mode. Here what I was wrong about in the last video, and you can probably immediately see that. So my assumption was that all voltages are created by the power supply. Presence of these big coils over here proves otherwise, and this board produces many voltages itself. So our problem is likely on this board. Now, the typical strategy well, my batteries died again on the transmitter, and actually when I was turning it on this morning I figured I've been using it for like 3 days, I should replace the batteries. And I figured let's give it one more session, maybe they'll work. So now I don't know when I was cut off, so let's just quickly recap. Our CPU is the only thing consuming power here. The only thing lighting up on the camera. It is definitely controlled by this coil, so that coil produces the power for this chip. Our input comes through here, so this is where we get our voltages from the power supply. This is probably the equivalent of an EC chip on the computers. So once it gets the PG signal from the power supply, it tells the CPU to turn on. Once the CPU turns on, starts grabbing too much current from this coil, it shuts down. Either the EC chip shuts down the CPU because the current is too high, or the CPU itself just turns off, and the whole process repeats. So the only thing for me to actually be sure about this would be to order another board, which is about 60 bucks, and measure this resistance over here. But my instinct tells me that 5 ohms is too low. And that is the issue with this board. So all this TV requires, in my view right now, is the replacement of this board. Because let's be honest, there's no way we're going to be replacing this chip. However, if we found a board that is damaged in other way, perhaps physical damage or something, and this resistance is okay, then we could attempt replacing this chip. However, I don't have proper tools for that yet, and I don't know if I ever will be doing these, because these are difficult, time-consuming, and there's a big room for failure. It's very easy to mess it up, and usually those chips are not very cheap. They can be anywhere from like 20 bucks to even hundreds. And I know 20 bucks doesn't seem like a lot of money, but you know, if it's 20 bucks and you have to spend a few hours rebolling it and replacing it, you know, that turns out to be, especially when you just drop the, you know, just remove, what do you call it? If you just break it during the procedure. Yeah, we have one arm over here, 1.5 here, 1.5 here, 1.2, and 1.1. Is that good? We don't know, but it's low. It's worth mentioning, because that's something you can check on the working board. If anyone in the audience has this board, if you don't mind checking that for me and posting in the comment, that'd be awesome, because at this point I'm just curious. I'm no longer trying to repair this TV. I just want to learn how it works, and let's face it, just have some fun diagnosing it. Isn't it awesome when you just try to repair something you don't have to repair, right? At any point I can just throw it in the trash where it belongs, and the job is done. So I can take as much time as I want, or as little time as I want. So this is like a stressless repair. But this is the board. In my view, we have low on, I'm gonna call it VCORE, because it supplies the CPU. So we have low resistance on VCORE, which causes it to shut down. So the board replacement would be a fix over here. That's my diagnosis. Feel free to disagree. Now, one thing I didn't check, because someone asked in the comments, how do you connect to these boards to find out what's wrong with them? Well, you just need to find a UART interface. It's not going to be always present, and in many cases it's not going to be labeled as one. So it might be difficult to find and identify. Or like in this case, because this is likely, let me show you. So this is likely our UART. But the resistors are not soldered in, or whatever here is missing, right? This is likely a cap, and these are probably resistors, and they go into board. So we need four, or probably these four connections for data, clock, and whatever. And that's probably where we hook up the diagnostic tool. Now, I know, even if you manage to connect, in this case, if the CPU is dead, then UART is not gonna give you anything, because it's not even gonna boot. It's not gonna let you in. But that's basically the answer to the question. How do you do that? How do you do that? I don't do that. I'm not quite on that level of knowledge when it comes to hardware hacking, but there's plenty of awesome sources on YouTube even, but you need to reach out in other places if you want to get some good info. And yeah, there's even presentations like hacking devices, and the devices you wouldn't even suspect that they even have operating system on them. And yeah, they have UART interface, and yeah, you can just SSH to it and just go through it. Even pretty much do, well, a lot of stuff. Alrighty, but that is it. Now I'm gonna have to figure out when the sound was cut off and and try to make it work. But our board goes to the pile for parts, and I might order another one, but it's not gonna be this month because I had a lot of expenses moving and stuff. You know how it is. So I don't have any spare dollars to spend on my hobbies or any pleasures for that matter. Alrighty, fellas, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this at least a little bit interesting, and I'll see you in the next one.